to. So if they're launching it from the desktop, they're going to give it to the desktop team. If they launch it through the Citrix server, they're going to give it to the Citrix team, and so on and so on. The problem is not with these other delivery mechanisms. It has to do with the profile itself, basically the corruption. So we do something a little bit differently. We would ask the user just to close out of the application, and in the meantime, they can launch something else like Microsoft Excel. And they could be working in Excel, typing in some numbers for whatever that's out there, or they could be launching Word or launching Outlook. With this environment up, I'm going to come over to what the help desk would actually have access to, and I'm going to launch what's called a personalization analysis. They would type in the username at the top, and we would be able to see all the applications that we're managing for this user. Then we would click on something called Archives, and we would ask the user what program you're having a problem with. And they would tell us it's Word, and then we would ask them when was the last time that product was working. Was it working this morning, yesterday, a week ago? And they would say, well, I noticed that I didn't have any problems this morning with it, so I'm going to roll back to that date and time. Now, as fast as I can click that button, it's already done. Now I'm going to go back over to my XP environment. Now they're working in Excel. I'm going to tell them, do me a favor and stop for a second and launch Microsoft Word. And when it opens, it's back to the look and feel to when I started. Now, if everybody that's on the call, if you notice, I never logged off the environment. I never had to delete the profile, and all my other settings, such as my redirection, my map drives, everything else that is there is still existing in the environment. No rebooting, no logging off, so the user doesn't have to spend the next 20 or 30 minutes reconfiguring their desktop, whether it's virtually delivered or whether it's on their physical environment. The time it usually takes a help desk person to generate a ticket, AppSense can have the problem resolved and the user back up and running. So a nice little feature there. Now, with a lot of companies that are out there, we're going to switch back over to the console again. They use a lot of GPOs, and they do a lot of different things within their environments to make sure they have advanced logon scripts and bat files. And when an application launches, it does this. So they spend a lot of time and effort to be able to deliver that type of solution. Well, AppSense Environment Manager and the solution that we have for user virtualization, we basically allow you to deliver those things at the time that they're launching the application. So over on the left-hand side here, you're going to see a whole bunch of different things for the computer base as well as the user base, but these are called triggers. And trigger can be based on a log on, a log off, process start and process stop, and etc. And most companies do everything during a logon time when they're logging into their environment through Active Directory. A logon script, GPOs will come down. The problem with that, it's a step-by-step process. The first thing has to finish before the next thing will happen, such as if you did something in a GPO, such as redirect My Documents, and then you said, let's map a drive. Well, the redirecting of My Documents would have to run first, then the mapping of the drive would happen next. Well, we have the ability, using these triggers, to make things happen only when they need to happen. So they can run what's called in parallel. So we can run things at the same time. So the map drives, the printer settings, a whole bunch of different things that you have out there can all happen at the same time. And I'm not going to go everything up here, but pretty much we can do everything you're doing within Active Directory, and that you're delivering GPOs, you're delivering logon scripts, bat files, printer settings, ODBC configurations, all those different things we can deliver through all our actions. Now, I do want to be clear in that we are not replacing Active Directory. We are basically managing that environment to run more efficiently so the users have faster logon times and they're only getting exactly what they need based on conditions within their environment. And I'm going to do something really simple here. Just to show you how easy this is. Let's say I wanted to do a group policy. I'm going to browse ADMX because I'm running a 2008 server here. And I'm going to browse in here, and you know what? I don't know where my GPOs are, so I'm going to type in the word start, and I'm going to find all my GPOs that deal with the start menu. And I'm going to come in here. Let's say we'll just remove the help menu from the actual start menu. Click OK, apply that in there, and I'm done. Now I've just set a simple policy to remove the help menu from the start menu. Now, who do I want to give that to? Now, typically, if you do a GPO with an Active Directory, you're going to apply that to whatever group that's there, an organization, unit, whatever, and it's basically an all or nothing. You can do a few exceptions, but for the most part, it is all or nothing. Now, with our technology, we have what's called conditions. We can do and make these things happen based on, number one, the trigger at the logon. I actually could do it when WinWord started, or I can do it based off of, a network connect, network disconnect, a startup or shutdown, whatever it is. And I'm going to select a condition that we can do this based on. I could do it on OU membership, a username, a user group. So in the healthcare industry, you may have the ER department, radiology, NICU, or they have the blood bank, or you have biomed, whatever that's out, whatever that group is, you can apply that. We could even do it based on a MAC address or a computer IP address, even a range of IP addresses. So we can say only set this policy if they're in a certain location within the healthcare or outside the healthcare organization, and you're delivering the OS via the web. Well, the next thing, we can even do it based on a published application name. So only certain things will happen when a certain condition exists. So I'm going to do something really simple here. I'm going to choose domain users here, choose a group, and we'll type that in there. I'll browse my Active Directory. There's my domain users, and it's applied. Well, I need to manipulate it just slightly and move it around. So if the user is equal to a domain user, then this policy will apply in the environment. Unlike GPOs, we can make that one condition that we can say, if the user, an individual username, and I'll come in here and I'll browse and I'll select my, let's see, user 2 that's out in my environment. If it is the user 2, I want something different to happen to that person. I'll do something, we'll come over to actions and we'll say I want a simple map drive only to happen for that one person. And I'm going to kind of fly through this and put some bogus information in there just so you can see what's happening. So now we've very easily manipulated the environment. So if you're a domain user, you're going to get a certain ADMX policy. And if you are the user number 2, you are going to get the map drive to the F drive. There's a lot of different conditions that happen within healthcare because they are truly a small city. Whether you're a doctor's office, whether you're a medical claim organization, or a healthcare environment, each little department is in their own little world, and they have to manage things slightly different than other departments. So if users roam within your environment, if certain drives aren't mapped the correct way, if they're not, the logon script's not set up the correct way, this can be a real challenge for the end users, let alone the IT department setting all this up. So let me come back over here and kind of go in the XP environment, kind of show you one of the triggers that I mentioned. I'm going to come up here into my computer. I'm going to launch my computer over here, and we're going to kind of expand this out just a little bit. And let's see if you can see all the drives that are there. I have the F drive, the H drive, and the P drive there. If I go to launch Microsoft Word, I triggered, and it covered everything up, but we'll minimize this a little bit, and it actually mapped the Z drive to go to my common location in my network. Now I want you to watch the Z drive when I close out Microsoft Word. It disappears. So we triggered it based on when the application launches, the application maps a drive, and then when we close it, it actually removes it. Now, an actual scenario that I had when I worked at a very large healthcare organization in Atlanta, Georgia, one of the largest hospitals, was the fact that registration had to have a certain printer mapped all time 24/7 within the environment. So when a new patient would come in, they would have to register the information, print some paper out, so they would sign it. Well, if the printer wasn't set up, whether it's dealing with the local desktop through an application that runs locally or through Citrix or any third-party delivery mechanisms, the printer mapping wasn't there and the driver wasn't working. Wherever the scenario was, the user had to actually log off the environment and log back on to get the logon scripts and to get the settings to be repopulated so the printer would work. Well, with this technology, imagine if we applied the same concept and all we had to tell the user was to just open up the application. Now it maps it. Now close it. Now it unmaps it. So it's getting done fresh every single time it is launched. This saves time and effort and money of the healthcare organization, and for faster customer service to the end user of somebody that's in the ER that's already upset and aggravated because they had to come to the ER to begin with. So it's solving that issue. And again, if you're not a healthcare organization, you're just a regular company doesn't deal with patients, then you can apply this and it solves and it reduces the help desk calls that are out there. So let's move on and kind of show you a couple other things within the in the environment that we have. Within the console itself, you have a lot of configurations, a lot of bells and whistles, anywhere from setting up streamed applications to doing file and folder redirections, and you can apply that all based on those conditions. Now, the one thing I did want to show you in here is a lot of companies ask us, well, we're not, or we are, either way, we're going to be migrating to Windows 7 at some point in time. Well, if you have some profile right now in Windows XP, that profile is not going to work in Windows 7. unless you change it and redirect it, and especially if you're going from 62-bit to 64-bit, maybe on a 2008 terminal server.